Sandworm. In the original, he said son of a submariner. What's up, everybody? This is OLB One Lucky Bullet coming at you with a review for Final Fantasy VI for Steam. This game is a kind of remake, redo of Final Fantasy VI, also known as Final Fantasy III, when it came out in North America back in 1994. What they've done is they've taken, unfortunately, the mobile iOS version and plopped it on Steam with some achievements. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. On one hand, I love it. I love the game. Then on the other hand, I hate the graphics. I hate what they've done to it. I hate how it looks. I don't understand what would make them do that to this. Why would you release that on the PC? I mean, I could understand the phone because it's designed for a phone, but I'm playing it with a controller or a keyboard. I don't need these little pop-up menus that are basically designed for touch. And I'm not a huge fan of the character art now. Like, I don't understand why they changed it. I don't know why you just didn't leave it the little 16-bit pixely stuff that we all liked. They did the same thing to the Chrono Trigger one, except that one was a horrible port. This one, it's better. It runs better. I don't necessarily have a problem with how it runs. I don't have a problem with the story, the characters, or anything. I just have a problem with their design and the menu interface, and it would be nice if they would change it. The game itself is probably, in my opinion, the best Final Fantasy game there is. I know a lot of people would say Final Fantasy VII, but that's probably because that's the first Final Fantasy they ever played. I've played every one of them, starting with the original on the Nintendo and all the way up. This one, hands down, is the best one. And if you play this one and then play 7, you'll see where a lot of the ideas from 6 are reused over in 7. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but, yeah, whatever. I'm not saying 7's a bad game. I like 7, but if I had to pick, I would go with 6. The game follows several characters. You've got more than a dozen characters that you can play as, but the main character of the game her name is Terra, and you follow her journey of finding out why the Empire has enslaved her with the slave crown and making her kill people, and you set her free, and you're trying to figure out what her ties are to these Ispers, these like crystal summons. I guess in Final Fantasy VII they called them Materia or whatever it's called, but in 6 it's Ispers. And basically what happened was 1,000 years ago there was the War of the Magi, where Ispers and humans had originally lived together forever, and then humans decided that they wanted their power, so they were taking it from them. And, the Ispers and the humans had a big war, the War of the Magi, and then the Ispers sealed themselves away in a different place to where humans couldn't get them again. Fast forward 1,000 years later, now that's where you're at now with this Empire who's going around. Apparently they found Ispers frozen in different places, and they're collecting them, draining their magic out of them, and making like Magitech soldiers. So obviously Terra joins up with a group called the Returners, and you go around, and your whole goal was to stop it. I will tell you, you'll spend about 20 or 30 hours of the game and collecting all your characters, doing everything with it, and you'll get to the end, and you'll learn that it's actually not the end, which is probably one of the greatest things in video games I ever witnessed, was making it to where I thought was the end, and then witnessing the bad guy actually win, which was crazy. The bad guy wins, and it just keeps going. You've got another 30, 40, 50 hours after that of gathering people up, side quests, hunting down, the 12 dragons and the Colosseum, and it just goes forever. And a huge overworld. You've got airships and you've got little robots that you can. I mean, it's got everything that you could want. It's for its time. It had some super revolutionary stuff, like the deep sea trench area that you go through was like this 3D kind of stuff for a Super Nintendo game back in the day. It was crazy. You never saw that get done. The game itself now still holds up well to this day. Obviously, like I said, I don't care for the graphics. I don't care for the menu. They did change some of the text in the game, and they've censored a few things, which was weird that they would. Like when Terra turns in, to a different form, it was kind of a nude version of it, and then there was the siren that was kind of nude, but you couldn't really see anything. It's pixelated. I mean, come on. But they've changed that. They've changed some of the things they said, like Kefka at the beginning at Figaro Castle, he says son of a submariner, and now they've changed that to son of a sandworm, which I don't understand why you changed that. Some of the items have different names, which honestly isn't a bad thing. It makes more sense for an English localized version. I would love to have an Xbox One or a PS4 release of this with some trophies or achievements, but I still don't understand that to this day, why Square doesn't do that. They'd rather release mobile games, but I would pay $20 for this to have it on my PS4. I'd pay $20 to have it on the Xbox. I mean, I paid $20 to have it on my Steam, so I don't really get it, but, one day, who knows, maybe. But to wrap this up, this is, without a doubt, one of the greatest RPGs ever made. And you are doing yourself a huge disservice by not playing it. This game would be my number one RPG of all time if it wasn't for another Square game called Chrono Trigger, which is my top favorite game of all time. Followed by this one. I mean, there were so many great Final Fantasy games before 7. You had Final Fantasy 2, which was technically 4. You had Final Fantasy 5, which was never really released over here, but then they actually released it over here. So the order kind of got screwed up back on the Super Nintendo game or days, but they're still great games. And for me, going back through this and sinking all these hours back into it again, it's not time wasted. I truly enjoy this game. I enjoy everything about it. Every character is amazing. Every character has their own backstory, whether it be the Phantom Train or the poisoning of Doma, with the wife and kid and the entire, kingdom getting wiped out from a genocide, to Gao, the little boy you find on the Veldt, that is an orphan and raised by monsters. I mean, every character has a backstory and, really in-depth stuff for you to do. Literally, you don't have to do the story. I mean, you can follow the story up to a certain point and then you're turned loose and you can do what you want to do. You can recruit who you want to recruit. You can just open it up. And this game was so ahead of its time, and it still is surprising that it holds up as well as it does. And I would, like I said, love to have a remake of it versus Final Fantasy VII, but I don't feel like waiting 10 years either. So, just give me a re-release on my PS4 and my Xbox, and I'll be super happy. But let me know what you guys think about it. Hit me up with a comment below. Like, subscribe, and catch you on the next one.